When I found out I was pregnant, at that time, it was a really great news for me because I wanted to get out the life that I was in. And I think now it gave me a purpose. Hi, my name is Lizzette Flores. I'm 38 years old, originally from Chicago. I have 3 children. My story is probably a little bit different than most, I would assume, but I come from a really rough background, so I actually was inside a halfway house when I found out that I was pregnant. So I was out on a furlough and got together with some friends, the homies, and was smoking weed and getting drunk, and I was really close with one of the guys there. He was actually someone I was always picking up weight from, moving weight around. And went back to my halfway house, had to do 6 months of parole, and about 3 months in there, found out I was pregnant. I was smoking a cigarette, and I just felt really sick, and didn't understand why. Somebody was joking, said, maybe you're pregnant. And I said, for the fun of it, I was like, yeah, let's go take a test. And turns out I am pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant, at that time, it was a really great news for me because I wanted to get out the life that I was in. And I think now it gave me a purpose. And I wanted to stop everything and detach myself from my life, from the people I knew. And I didn't have to go out like a punk. I was going out as a mother. Because in that environment, it was, even though I wanted to get out, my environment, my friends that I had circling around me, there was just like claws on my back. It was really hard. I wasn't strong enough to walk out on my own. So being pregnant was a good reason. I was young, so I was pretty healthy. I was the normal morning sickness, feeling weak. But for the most part, I was pretty healthy. Had an appetite, but the people around me were my family. They just saw it as another burden, so they weren't really happy. Actually, that I was pregnant because I had no future. I wasn't going to school, didn't have a job, didn't have any money, didn't even have a car, didn't have anything. So, I went back, told my friend that I was pregnant, and he actually was very supportive as well. He was excited. So I got kicked out of my house. So when I left the halfway house, I was not allowed to go to my dad's house. So I actually moved in with him, the father's parents, with his family. They welcomed me in, and for me it was I grew up with a background just speeding things up without a family. I grew up in shelters and foster group homes. So for me, this was like the answer, having a family that I never had. So I was welcomed to someone else's home, had a family, and I thought it was great. I had a girl, I named her Genesis. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. I thought it was very appropriate to name her the first book of the Bible. And it wasn't all that fantasies and fairy tales, as you know. In fact, we weren't ready for pregnancy, so my daughter's father, I found out about 4 weeks before the baby's due that he actually has been leading a double life, and he has another girlfriend, which happens to be a friend of mine as well. So, but it was just the beginning of a new life. I felt like I was gonna head on, and I was gonna leave that past life of selling drugs, walking around, hanging out with the homies and the drug dealers and gangbangers, and I was just try to have a better life for my daughter. It didn't happen overnight. I evolve, and I'm still evolving. I'm gonna get ready to go through another transition coming January 15th. I'm gonna get rid of my cell phone number that I've had for over 10 years, and still do one more shed. Like I call it, like, you know, like how snakes are, they get rid of sheds. So that's what I'm going through. It wasn't easy. I mean, I had to relocate, move, get rid of friends that I used to talk to. I signed myself up to community school, reach out to my church. God kept putting angels in my life, so just having to continually, you know, just do laundry again, just rewash, and it's been a journey. It's not something that's happened. I mean, I'm 38, my daughter's 17, and I'm just now getting it. So I have a daughter that lives in Chicago, and I have my second daughter lives in Georgia, and they live with their grandparents. I had my daughters in, you know, about 8 years, and I went through a hardship in my life. I got into a car accident, and at that point, you know, their grandparents stepped in and kind of provided a life that I haven't been able to, as far as private schools, having their own room, getting the things that they needed. It was a very, very hard decision, and still to this day, you know, it's something that I lose sleep about, but you know, for now, that was the best decision. It was a very unselfish decision, but I didn't want to take them out of their home, living you know, great schools, private schools. You know, they have trumpet classes and basketball practices, to where living with me in the ghetto, you know, 5 blocks away, there were shots. People were getting shot. Put them in a public school in Chicago, where, you know, they got to go through metal detectors to get into the school. I just didn't think that was the best. As a parent, that just wasn't, at that time, I just thought that wasn't the best opportunity, so they stayed with their grandparents. Yeah, I mean, Chad, that's something I still, you know, lose sleep over, or, you know, kind of make amends with and ask God to help me, because that strength doesn't come from, it's not in me. That's God's strength that lives inside of me, honestly. You know, I got depressed. You know, I went from size 9 to a size 0 in like 4 months. You know, I would put all their pictures up and all the pictures down, because I didn't know what was the best way to deal with it. I had angels coming into my life and saying, you know, kind of mentoring me, talking to me about what would be the best. So it wasn't something I did this on my own, but I'm glad that, you know, in the end, you know, these girls are straight A children. They're getting, you know, one of them is going to get a scholarship. The other one is probably going to end up getting another scholarship, just because she's had straight A's since she was in 3rd grade. Got a letter from Obama recognizing her. It's been a blessing. So it's not easy sometimes, decision you got to make. I guess what I would say to you is, first off, live in the present. That's one of the things that I didn't get that until much later in my late 20s, early 30s. You have to live in the present. You have to enjoy the moments you have with your child, with yourself, and try your hardest to get the noise all around you out of your life. It doesn't matter. There are homies, friends, girlfriends, clubs, money. That's always going to be there. What needs to matter the most is you. You need to heal, you know, learn yourself. You're becoming a different person. You're a mother now. It's something, you know, what took you to get to you here, 19 years, 20 years, however old you are, getting pregnant now, it took you 20 years to get here. To be a mother is not something that's going to happen overnight, and you have to live in the present and be aware of the woman that you're becoming. You gotta love yourself. That's another thing I think that I would have probably taken different direction. Take a day every day, spend an hour loving yourself in a positive way. What I mean by that is, you know, write yourself a journal of all the things you accomplished that day. Even if it's just getting up, cooking dinner. That's an accomplishment as a parent, as a young mom, first time mom. The amount of strength that you need to have on an hourly basis to cope with this new journey, it's an accomplishment. So write those things down. That way, when you have a bad day, go back to your journal and you could read all the great things you've been doing, and you feel better about yourself. You don't need no one to praise you. You need to praise yourself. Faith. Because you feel there's a lot of weak moments, but through faith you're going to make it. My name is Lizzette Flores, and my word is faith.